Right. Okay, full house, kind of cool. So bad news for you, you're in the spit zone. I get excited sometimes, stuff just flies. And bad news for you guys in the back too, because I'm a walker. So I'm gonna be walking all over the place. How is everyone doing tonight? Come on now. Come on, it's awesome. Oh, look at that. On the third glass of wine at the back. That's freaking awesome. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you, no pressure, but I really do think tonight's panel is going to be one of the best you've ever attended. I know that's a big statement. And by the way, I also want to mention that objects at the front of the room are a lot taller than they actually appear. So it's going to seem a little bit weird back there, but I'm much taller. Yeah. All right. So we have a treat for you tonight. So some of you may be here as brand new in the business or contemplating getting in the business. Show of hands so we understand the room a little bit. How many people here are 1 year or less in the real estate industry or getting into the real estate industry? I'm putting my hand up so you feel good, but that's not me. It's just, yeah, it's 27 years of this. Okay, perfect. And how many are, let's say, between just over a year and 5 years in the real estate industry? Very cool. And then over 5 years, real estate agent, real estate industry? Pretty cool. Here's what you get from that, okay? The learners, no matter if they've been in the business 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, realize there's an opportunity to learn, always, from all people, right? No pressure. It's awesome. And I'm going to tell you, you are going to learn tonight. I guarantee you're going to learn, you're going to love it. So, we're going to start. By the way, this is Michelle's wine, but she said I can have a sip of it on occasion. So if you see me going over to Michelle's wine, it's okay. Thanks, Michelle. It's awesome. All right. So, we're going to go through an intro of everybody. So, Gary, if you could just cue the next one. That's me. That's awesome. Next, please. That's Wayne, also awesome. I don't know why Wayne's there, but thank you. And Colin, that's awesome. No, I'd like to thank Wayne and Colin very much, and Gary as well, for all of their assistance in organizing and putting on the panel, selecting the panelists. It's a lot of work. And that's the other thing that's quite unique about our company. It's very collaborative, right? So a little bit different than traditional real estate companies where you walk around clutching things to your chest and all that nonsense. We're collaborative. We know that by helping each other succeed, we all succeed even at a higher rate. So I want to thank you for all of your time. All right, Michelle, you're up first. Isn't that awesome? I'm going to read your bio. And then, Michelle, I'm going to get you to tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind. So we've got, you started in real estate in 2017, June. In 2018, you did 38 transactions. 5.65 million in volume. You were our Rookie of the Year. Congratulations in 2018. Nice. Already serving on our Agent Leadership Council for 2019. You're our Social and Cultural Ambassador, which is amazing. You have a bachelor's degree, oh my gosh, Media, Information Technology, Criminology, I am so in trouble, from Western University. So everybody, this is Michelle Terzis. Awesome. I'm going to go one at a time with their bios, and then after that, I'm going to get you to start right in with the questions, okay? So Bernadette, look at that. Bernadette is with Royal LePage Ignite Realty. Started in February 2016. Royal LePage Master Sales Award winner in 2017. Capped first year with KWRC, which is going to be a little confusing for all of you, but that's okay. 2017, 130,000 in net commission. 2018, 80,000 in net commission. Signed her first construction project for a custom home in Scarborough Village with 350,000 in net commissions. Graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Queen's University. Everybody, this is Bernadette. Awesome. Craigster made the long drive. What a good dude. Craig, all the way from Keller Williams Complete in Niagara. Sales rep since November 2017. First year in the business, essentially. 20 transactions, 8.6 million in volume. Dived into real estate right after high school. So there you go. Right. Pretty cool, right? That's Craig. All right, Gemma, you're next. Gemma, sales representative at Remax Crosstown Brokerage. Certified Negotiation Expert, CNE, for people in Toronto means something totally different, just so you know. Yeah, and it's interesting. Gemma's going to tell you her story, but English is actually her second language, right? Just like me. Not really, but people would think that, yeah. Sales, why are you laughing out there at that joke? It's a good joke. Okay, sales representative since June 2017, achieved Platinum Award with Remax, which is wonderful, $250,000 in gross commissions. Everybody, this is Gemma. It's awesome. All right, so Gemma, I'm going to start with you, way at the end. I know, see?
I thought Michelle was the first, seriously.
So your first year's production, quite impressive, right?
Thank you.
How was that for you? Is that what you anticipated it as being, or how did that all go? Just very quickly.
Very quickly, no, I didn't really. Oh, I can talk in this.
Yeah,
Yay.
sure.
No, very quickly, I did not anticipate this. I didn't think that it was going to be so fast, so great, but lots of work and determination.
Wow, pretty cool. I'm going to skip around just to keep you on your toes. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, so my first year was an absolute, actually first 6 months was an absolute mess. I contemplated getting out of the industry at 3 months and 6 months. My 7th month, I did 5 deals in 1 month, so that's really what kickstarted me. But when I first started, there was a lot of fear. I had no money. A lot of self-doubt and a lot of focus on mindset.
Cool. All right. Bernadette, how about you?
I was actually lucky enough to get training in this room right here with the Ignite program and sign my first deal 3 weeks into real estate in this room. Actually, I finished that contract, double-ended that deal, and it kind of took off from there. And what can I say? You know what? All of the Ignite trainers taught us to door knock, and that's what I did every single day. It was February, so it was freaking cold with snow up to my ankles, and I still did it every single day. In heels. I did it in heels as well. People thought I was crazy, but that's me. And you know what? It worked. A lot of them appreciated that I was out there working so hard in the cold, and I just kept going.
I can tell you, when I showed up tonight, she was still outside knocking on our door. I was like, you can just go on in, Bernadette. It's okay. Craig, how about yourself, real briefly?
Yeah.
Surprise yourself, great expectations. Tell us all about it.
I surprised myself, and I actually surprised my whole family. My family didn't expect me to be as successful in real estate. So I got my license on November 1st of 2017, and it was a real plunge into the deep end. I sold my first house after 60 days on New Year's Eve of 2017, and it was a lot of hard work and incredible learning experience. And I actually joined a team right away. I'm not an individual agent, so I'll be bringing a little bit of a different perspective than everybody else. I joined a team right away, and it's been great ever since.
So awesome. Okay, Michelle, I'm going to go to you. By the way, I'm getting older, so paper is going to be held further and further throughout the night as I drink Michelle's wine. So what influenced you? What motivated you to get your real estate license? And it's an interesting story. I think they're going to love that. And what did you do? What was your life before real estate?
Yeah, so what motivated me to get into the real estate industry is the potential. You can do anything in this industry and bring your passions in it. The fact that I could be my own boss, have my own time if I choose to use my schedule the right way. Previous to being a real estate agent, I actually graduated from Western University, so you guys have an idea, 2016. I worked for Post Media at the London Free Press selling advertising to big and small businesses for 3 months. From there, I realized the potential of a company using the power of digital media to make money and realized, why am I selling this to them? Why don't I create my own business? So at that point in time, I decided to give a note under a door to my boss to quit. And I actually ended up traveling the world for 7 months. I backpacked through New Zealand, Australia, and Thailand. In that time frame, I gained a lot of clarity and realized that starting a business is what I wanted to do, despite having the university degree. And real estate was the path, the vehicle I chose to do this.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michelle. How about you, Bernadette? What motivated you to get into the real estate industry?
So I actually was a mortgage broker for 5 years prior to the real estate career. I was constantly getting frustrated at meeting clients at the end of it when they didn't really get enough financial background, maybe not pre-qualified, and buying homes that were way too expensive for their budget. And was sitting there frustrated and was like, you know what, if I can at least turn around for some of these clients and be able to give them that education piece, then why not? And that's kind of what motivated me to start. And like Michelle said, I love the fact, the freedom of making however much you want to make in this business. It comes down to how much work you put in, how much time you put in, and it's all tangible at the end of the day.
Pretty cool. All right. Gregster, my man.
Yes.
What motivated you to get into the real estate business?
Well, shortly after high school, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, so I decided to take an extra year to weigh out all my options. So originally I wanted to go with the corporate route, go through university and get a job in the business world. But during that intermittent period where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I did a lot of learning, a lot of reading. One of the first books I read was Gary Keller's The One Thing, and I kept reading these books about successful people, and I realized that in order to be successful, you have to learn how to sell. And for me, the corporate world, it looked like it was almost a dead-end job for myself. So I wanted something with more opportunity, and in real estate, we don't have a ceiling. We get paid in proportion to the problems that we solve and the effort that we put into our occupation here. So I decided to go into real estate in January. I started my courses January 2017. It was a 10-month process, and during that time, I continued to learn about sales. And a great influence to my life was Grant Cardone, a great salesman in the United States. I read all of his books, and I'll break this down later on, but his habits have been a great influence in my career right now.
That's wonderful. Thank you. How about you, Gemma?
Well, I was born and raised in France, Paris, and I never loved school and never wanted to go to school. I was okay at school, but I never wanted to do it. So I stopped going to school. I was 16, and I started working very early. But every single penny that I made, I put aside because I wanted to buy real estate. So when I was 23, I was actually able to put down 75% down to buy a condo in Paris, which is quite good at this age. And then 3 years later, I decided, okay, that's not enough. I'm going to come to Canada, and I don't speak English. I don't know anybody. I don't have a job, but it's okay. I'll do it. I arrived here in November 2004, and I cried every single day for the first 3 months because, again, I didn't have a job. I didn't know anybody, but whatever. And real estate always have been on my mind. I kept my place in Paris. I rented it. Horror story after that because the renter, whatever. But long story short, it was never a good time for me to get into real estate because when you arrive in Canada, you don't have a job. You need to find anything that you can. Then you get a job. I was a French teacher for adults for many years. Then I went into working for CBC Radio Canada. Stopped that, came back to teaching. And then we had 2 kids. And then one day, one of my kids after another were sick and all. And I remember my boss saying, again, you're taking a sick day off. And that day I said, okay, this is my resignation. I'm done. Thank you. And here comes my husband home, and I tell him, I quit today. That's it. And he asked me, okay, what are you going to do? I thought he was going to have a heart attack. And I said, well, actually, I'm happy you're asking. I'm going into real estate. And I said, and we're selling our house because we can't go to real estate unless we downsize all our lifestyle. So I'm lucky enough that this man stuck with me and helped me, and we did move, and then I did go to real estate and did it. That's
Here
my
we
story.
are. It's awesome. All right. Pretty cool, right? All right, I'm going to go to Bernadette. So there's people, as you saw, some brand new or just getting into the business. So why don't you describe what your first 90 days in the business looked like?
Oh man, first
Good
90
one.
days. Yeah, I know. You know what? I remember waking up the first morning being like, now what? Because I think I was 28 years old. I had friends that should have had enough savings to buy a house, but everyone was partying too much, and so I couldn't look to my friends to purchase anything. And my mother is also a real estate agent for 10 years, so I couldn't go to family because my mom had already taken up that that database.
She scooped them all.
Yeah. And so I literally sat there and was like, okay, you know what? I gotta just get out of the house, walk to the street right next to the house that we were living in, and said, let's start door knocking. So my first 90 days encompassed being a part of the Ignite program, which definitely changed the game for me. And door knocking, letting everyone I knew who was, whether they were on my Facebook, friends who I went to school with, maybe part of my TD Bank previous career, just letting everybody know that I was in real estate and this is what I was going to be doing now and this was my career. Social media was a great platform because I was able to message everybody online as well, and just spent the first 90 days just trying to get in front of as many faces as possible and just let them know. And that was
Perfect.
it, yeah.
Now, for those of you in our company, this is something we talk about all the time, right? It's really boils down to as many conversations as humanly possible in a meaningful way about real estate. That's what this is all about, right? Okay, Craig, how about you? First 90 days.
Yes. So, like I said before, I didn't have a lot of people who thought I'd be successful. In fact, I don't think I had anyone who said I was going to be a great realtor. And there are a variety of reasons for that. You might not notice it now, but you might not believe this, but I was a lot younger then. I looked incredibly young. And I was just thinking now, the first 90 days, I still had braces on my teeth.
Yeah.
I have braces on.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
It's all
okay.
And that's fine. That's fine. But for me, it made me look like I was 12. So my first 90 days, I didn't have a lot of support. I mean, my team leader was great, and he told me what I had to do to be successful in this business. And how he started me off is I was given about 200 old internet leads from open houses, from past appointments, investors, realtors, not realtors, leads from Realtor.ca on his old listings. These go back five plus years. So these were people who he hasn't talked to in a few years. And this is the only way that I could nurture some business. So I was calling through these maybe 5 hours a day, twice a week. Everybody I was talking to twice a week, or calling them twice a week to try to get them to tell me what their plans are now. And the rest of the time I was either learning what to do, scripting, and really practicing my craft, and going on the worst qualified appointments ever. I had the horrible buyer appointments with people who weren't qualified, horrible seller appointments. It was a lot of learning in that time. But after 60 days, I did sell my first house on New Year's Eve of 2017. It was to an investor, and it was just a lot of hard work through that period.
Right. Thank you, Craig. How about you, Gemma? First 90 days, what did that look like for you?
So as I said, I arrived here. I didn't have much family or whatever. So my sphere of influence is not really where I could go. But however, I did my first deal within 2 weeks. And I remember that first deal, it was a Sunday. And when my client said we were going to put an offer, I'm like, no, no, it's Sunday. Nobody is here to help me. Like, no. So I took my book, my Oria book, you know, that big book, and for 3 hours I was writing that offer. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Sunday, you know. And then after that, it was not so easy. So what I decided to do was, you know what, people who want to have a house and can't buy today, they're going to rent. There's a lot of rental right now in Innisfil, because at that time I was in Innisfil. There's a lot of rental right now who have a Toronto agent name on the lawn. Those Toronto agents don't want to drive to Innisfil to go show those houses. So I called each and every single one of them, and I said, hey, if you have any leads, I live around the corner. I can show that house anytime for you. And it worked. They gave me their leads, and their leads rented, and this is how I did 17 or 18 leads right away, very fast. But guess what? Those leads are now turning into buying. Actually, I already converted one of them. She sold a house with me in Mississauga for $1.1 million, bought a house from me with me for $700,000. Her brother did as well, buy a house in Aurora. So just her was fantastic. And today I received a phone call from one of those leases that I did last year, telling me, okay, my tenants is kicking us out because they're selling the house. We need to find another place. And I said, well, why don't we look into buying? And they're going to buy. So my thing is, you know what? Those leases help me to learn contracts, learn people, go show houses, book appointments, all that give me confidence to do it. So why not? So every time I hear people saying, oh, no, I'm not touching leases. And why not? They are going to turn into buyer and seller one day. So you better treat them like very well. So this is what I did, and it worked.
So it was your first 90 days. Pretty cool.
It worked.
How about you, Michelle? What was your first 90 days like?
Yeah, so my first 90 days was a disaster. It was really bad. I thought I was bipolar. Literally, the roller coaster, and my family members can attest to that. It was a mess. I've repressed all those memories. But what I do remember is I got kicked out of my house for starting real estate as a business. I was forced to get an apartment and, of course, somewhere to live, and I decided to get a place just outside by this brokerage. This is my main brokerage. And I would like mastermind in this basement apartment every day, analyzing every single real estate agent and every single system and every single technique. And I was so caught up, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, with how to be that perfect real estate agent. So I spent way too much time trying to figure it out when I just needed to get out there. So my first 90 days was not what I would have wanted it to be. I also reached out to every single person on my Facebook, which is paid off now. Highly recommend that in your first 90 days. But yeah, it was a disaster. A lot of limiting beliefs on my age and my confidence for the industry.
You know, it's interesting, though, if you think about it, they do all have something in common, and that is that in those 90 days, even though you had the whole thing going on there you just talked about, you were all proactive about getting out there and talking to people. And I think that's the same whether it's the first 90 days or the first 90 months, you know what I mean, or and so on. That's what our business is. It's about getting out there and actually communicating with people, bringing them value. It's not about, necessarily asking. It's being consultative and giving, and by virtue of that, you will get back. So that's pretty cool. Did you hang out with me in the first 90 days? I don't remember. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Okay. I'm going to go to Craig. So now we're starting out. Did you have a lot of support and business from your sphere of influence? And if you did, tell us how that worked out. And if you didn't, tell us about that too.
I would say I didn't really get a lot of support from my sphere of influence. They just weren't ready at that time. I did get a listing from an aunt in March. I'd say 5 months in, I got a good listing, a 6% commission listing. We sold it in 2 weeks for like 99% of the price. It was a great experience there. We got lots of leads and leverage from that listing. But my friends still live with their parents, and their parents aren't ready to move. And my family just wasn't in a position that they're ready to move, and they don't invest in real estate. They do other stuff with their money. So
the answer is basically no, other than that, your favorite aunt. Yeah, gotcha, right.
She is now.
She is now. Yes, perfect. Okay. She wasn't then, but she is now. Perfect. How about you, Gemma?
No, I didn't. I really didn't, because they thought that, yeah, you just started, so just let's see how that goes. But the thing is, I just make sure that I post on Facebook every single thing that I do. And funny enough, now it's like, oh, I do want to buy. And I see that you're doing really great. So now it's starting. But it's a year and a half after, right? So right at the beginning, they think that you're not that great or you're not that experienced or whatever. The thing is, what I think I've learned is, even if you're not busy, fake it. You're busy. Just post a picture of you door knocking, whatever. Make it like you're busy. Because when people see that you're busy, they think you're busy. And so one day they will call you.
That's good advice. All right. All right, Michelle.
Yeah, so
Family just said, here's like 30 deals. Make it up. No?
So I thought I was going to have all the support in the world, to be completely honest. I grew up in a pretty good family. I mean, all of our families have issues. Some, I guess, can't really speak, never mind. But my father's very European. Young women in the business world is not something that he approved of, and to this day is still having a hard time with. So I had a lot of backlash, and my parents are really important to me, so that was really tough to get over that. I was fortunate enough to have my broker of record, Christine. As soon as I started to leverage this brokerage and the people here, I was able to realize that I just needed to be me. And if I had questions or concerns, there was people here to support me. So I didn't have the answers. I didn't have any support from my friends or family at the time, but I had my brokerage, which is all I needed. The people who didn't support me just put fire in my ass to get going.
Perfect. I'm glad your ass is still on fire. But okay, Bernadette, how about you?
So same thing. I want to say, like, whether you're 17 starting or 45 starting, when your sphere of influence, as great as they are towards like your mid-career point, they know you're new. So I mean, they know you've never sold a home. Some of us didn't even own a home at the time, I would say. Yeah, some of us still don't do good. But the thing is, you almost have to earn it. So I went into it differently. Like, I didn't go in expecting. My mom was also an agent, so I knew there was no way I was going to be able to ask for that business. So I went in and just put myself out there in front of strangers and felt that it was much easier to not have to disclose that I was not new, number one, and then be able to do a bunch of these deals. That gave me the confidence to then speak to my family, and they also then saw the experience as I kept doing it. So I would say to everyone, whether you have a sphere who is going to support you when you start, don't use that as, like, don't depend on that. Like, if you get it, great, it's a bonus deal at the end of the year is how I look at it. I've only closed maybe one in my sphere in the last 2.5 years. And it's fine, and it's great. And if it comes in, it's a bonus. If not, you're still killing it, right? So.
Pretty cool. Now, we heard some really neat things, okay? So what you said, Bernadette, it all said great stuff. But you have to earn it. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And Gemma said you almost got to kind of like fake it a little bit till you make it. So I just want to digress for a moment. So when I started this brokerage, it was me, right, and one assistant. We were in this little tiny office. And I felt all the people from my former brokerage and all the great people I've interacted with in all these years, they're just going to be pouring in. This is going to be awesome. So here it is, day one, and man, you could hear crickets. There was nobody. And I offered people investment opportunities in the company, all that kind of stuff, nothing. So I phoned somebody by the name of Glenn McQueenie, who's another operating partner of a Keller Williams office in Toronto. He has 3 different offices. And I told him this story. And he said, think back to when you started in real estate. You probably thought you're going to have all of this business from your friends and your family. Did you? I said, no, I didn't have any of that. He said, the brokerage is the exact same thing. You got to go out there and earn it and build it. And then other people that you were counting on coming will come. And the interesting thing is, all of those people that I offered an investment opportunity to at the beginning are all here today with 0. But I had to earn it. I had to earn the right to lead them and to have them come to the brokerage, just like you had to earn the right. But then friends and family and so on do follow. So it's an interesting perspective that it is a bonus, right? Bernadette, as they come, it's a bonus, but you shouldn't rely on that. So kind of neat. All right, and there's definitely a common thread, right? Okay. Jem, I'm going to go to you. What does your daily schedule look like?
Well, I start early because I have 2 kids who just, for some reason, love to wake up at 5 a.m. And jump on my bed. And so they go to school very early. At 7:15, they are in the bus. And usually I'm like, okay, I want to go back to bed. They just, no. So what I do is right away, I just turn on my computer and I start working, because where I'm the most productive is in first thing in the morning. So do all those paperwork and follow-up appointments. Usually I want to start calling people at 7:30, but it's really not the time. So I wait until 9. So all the paperwork, what happened, if there's any deals, or if there is any, again, follow-up at the office. Facebook, continue with emails, and then my morning is usually I stay at the office and book appointments, talk to people, follow up with everybody, and then after that it really depends on what happens on the day. So there is a listing presentation or listing appointment, or there is buyer showings, and then the day goes on like this. I'd have to come back home for my kids around 3:30 to pick them up. So from 3:30 to 4:30, it's just like normally just me and them. Well, no, they go and play whatever, and then I continue working. And then my husband comes home, and then I can go and show houses or do whatever I have to do.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Michelle? What's your day look like?
So my day starts the night before, 11 p.m. to 11:30. I go to bed pretty late. Is planning my schedule for the next day if it's not already set out, and making sure that I have a reason to want to go through my day the next day, which is my schedule. And then the day morning of, I typically wake up at around 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to 7:30, I'm meal prepping, making sure I have food and fuel, because we all know as agents, if you're on the road, you might not get food and you don't want to be hangry. So from 7 to 7:30, meal prepping, checking emails, checking the MLS to see what's come on the market for my buyers. I get to the gym at 8 to 9 approximately. I'm lifting weights just to get my mindset correct. From 9 to 10, I'm either driving to the office and listening to an audible of some sort that's going to, again, come to mindset and make sure that I'm ready to go before I talk with clients. Or if I'm not driving to the office, I'm at a coffee shop listening to some video of some sort to help educate me in mindset. And then from 10 to 12 is my set aside lead gen time, where I'm following up with clients, answering emails. If I haven't putting a deal together at time, I try not to. I try to really focus 10 to 12 for my follow up with my clients. And then from 1 to 3 and like 3 to 6, it's either showings or it's more finding business. And my days typically end around like 9 p.m. 10 if I'm not putting a deal together at that time, which is very typical, I find.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right. Bernadette, what's your day look like?
So my day starts pretty early. I'll tell you, in my first year, I woke up at 5 o'clock every morning and had someone call me and wake me up if I wasn't waking up at 5, and would be watching YouTube motivational videos. So anyone from Les Brown, Gomez, just anyone who's going to pump you up in the morning. My husband's here, and he will tell you, like, sometimes at 5 a.m. I'm too tired to get out of bed, and I'll do it while we're in bed, and he'll be like, come on, can you not, like, go in a different room and do that? But it was just to get the day going. No one else is pumping you up, so you use what you can. Now,
children.
Yeah, not yet. So, and then I'd get out and actually, like, go out there and pound those pavements. Now I'm actually up at 5, getting to the gym at 6. Working out for a good hour. I'm also lifting weights. I find that it's the best thing for your mindset. You could have had a shitty night. It could have been a really bad offer presentation, or, you know, a deal falls apart, but the next morning you get in there and you get out and you're like, I'm gonna find another home for that buyer. So it's fine. I get home by around 7:30, and then I shower, get my reading in for half an hour, check my emails, and then I'm out the door. So I'm lead generating until noon, get my lunch in, and then it's appointments. And whether I've got showings or a listing appointment or not, I'll book at least 2 to 3 homes within a farming area or where your typical buyers are looking, just to at least be able to go in and have a look at what the inventory is like, and just be knowledgeable so that when your client's calling, you know it's already there without looking at MLS.
Oh, perfect. All right. How about you, my friend? Tell us, Craig.
Yeah, like Michelle said, I am a big believer in your day starts the night before. So between 9 and 9:30, I like to make sure everything is set for the next day. So that includes buyer appointments, seller appointments, making sure all my paperwork is ready and everything is scheduled. And then I know exactly what's going to happen the next day. Other than that, my routine is basically the same. I like to get up at 5. I typically sleep from 10 till 5. I get up at 5, and then I block 3 hours out for myself. So I divide it into 3 sections. That's physical development, mental development, and professional development. So I exercise for an hour. Right now it's cycling. That's my sport. So right now I'm in the basement and riding my bike inside. But I also do a little bit of gym work at this time too. But I also do a lot of reading. So I don't necessarily just read business books. I like to read a lot of nonfiction and literature too. And it just helps me get through the day, knowing that I've had that time for myself. Then the rest of the time it's just for business. And then I do a little bit of scripting. I practice some presentations or read some sales programs. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, so I follow a lot of his programs and do a lot of studying to become a better salesperson myself. Between 8:30 and 9, my team does have a scripting call on Zoom, which is an online meeting app. So we go through scenarios, and it's a lot of phone prospecting, but also preparation for objections that we have for buyers and for sellers. And then we all get to the office around 9. And between 9 and noon, we just do our lead generation. That's all of our calls. I find that's not enough time, so I do a lot of calls in the afternoon and evenings. I structure my afternoons for the appointments. I like to do them all between 2 and 5 p.m. because I like to do more phone calls in the evening when people are done work. That's my day. It's very busy every day.
So I'm smiling like crazy. I don't know if you can see. So it's no wonder, right, that they are as successful as they are. Now, what's the common thing you heard? Please, somebody tell me. Yeah, start your day early and lead generation, and there's probably something else said, but those are the two key things. Mindset, right? So there is a saying that the world does business in the morning. So we teach our people all the time, right? This is the deal. The world does business in the morning. Now, some people, don't get me wrong, can run a successful business where they get up late and they do their thing, but that is more of the anomaly. I'm telling you. It's not coincidence. Like what you're hearing right now is not coincidental. That pattern is either learned or inherent or both, but it works, right? It works. So that's very commendable. It's very funny in terms of the fact that you see it time and time and time again. And then people that come in at like 11 strolling in to have lunch wonder why they're not doing what you're doing. Well, it's a discipline, right? It's a system. So it's very cool. All right. So, very quickly, I'll start with you. Michelle, do you think you have work-life balance? What's that look like for you?
So this is my second year now. I'm a year and about 7 months into the business. My first year was a disaster. I would come home at night and like fall over. I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys. Again, I overworked myself, but because I was just so exhausted, and I didn't even go upstairs sometimes because I just really ran myself, wearing a lot of hats. My second year, I found a way to lead generate where I can just go about my day and network. So my work-life balance is actually better than it's ever been in my life with any job, mainly because I've put vacations, friends, and family a priority, and also use those opportunities to lead generate. So I've found a happy medium with the way I'm lead generating in my day.
Excellent. So you're leveraging that, which is kind of cool. All right, Bernadette, how about you? The work, you're smiling.
Because it's a funny question.
And your husband's listening.
Yeah, so he knows.
I'm going to be glancing over to him to make sure you're saying it exactly correct. You ready? Okay, go ahead.
My first year was disastrous, too. I was so hard on myself to, like, do as many deals as I could possibly do that sleeping, eating, the gym, like, none of that existed. My husband, I think it was at 6 months, was like, I think I miss you. Like, you're not home, ever. And so in my second year, I really made it like a conscious effort to sort of time block certain things. And I wasn't used to scheduling meetings with friends or your husband or your parents. And I had to really do that. As you schedule time block times for lead gen and appointments, you need to make time for your friends, for yourself most importantly first, and your family, of course, your health, getting your meal preps in, as Michelle said as well. And I feel like now I definitely have more of a balance. I mean, you're going to have late nights. No day is the same. So you can't really schedule your day like that. But at least you make a conscious effort and you check in with everybody. And you know that you're doing the best that you can.
That's great. Thank you. How about you, Craig? Work-life balance.
Yeah, I do. I'd say when I started out, I didn't have a work-life balance. The first 5 months, I think I was 100% just focusing on business. And it ended up working out well for my business half because I did sell a lot. But I looked up in June, and I was burnt out, and I took the foot off the gas for my business. So now I have more of a balance right now. When I do my personal stuff between 5 and 8 a.m., it's better for myself to get through the day because I know that I've gotten that done. I've dealt with myself first, and I'm happy with what I've accomplished through the morning. And the rest of my day is full business, and I enjoy it that way. I still have time for social life. Like Friday evening, I spend with friends, and Sunday afternoon I spend with family. But the rest of the time, as long as I keep that schedule in the morning, I'm pretty happy for the rest of the day and pretty focused to continue my business.
So I'm going to come back to that. That's great. Okay, how about you, Gemma?
Well, somebody asked my husband Saturday night if I ever know how to relax, and the answer is no. I'm a workaholic. I love it. And when I'm on vacation, which we took 4 days vacation for my birthday because I was turning 40, I still had my laptop and I still worked there with a nice drink in the pool, but still work there. No, I don't have a balance, and he's laughing because it's true. I'm sorry. I wish I did. Even if I wanted to, I don't want to. I love working, so there you go.
All right. Interesting, right? And
Sorry,
so-
don't
no,
divorce me.
No, it's good. So I asked this question, the work-life balance question of all panels, right? You've heard that before. But here's something that actually you said, Craig, which is pretty cool. You said that once you started devoting time to yourself first, things got better. So one of the things we teach people, what I've always taught in the time blocking class that I teach, is you have to look at the entire year's calendar. And what you should do is block off all of the monumental holiday and vacation time you can think of first. And then the next thing after that, what you have to do, is look at the current month and block off all the other time that you want off, all the additional time, birthdays, anniversaries, Super Bowl, whatever. See, what happens is what's left at that point, Craig, is just work time. And whether you realize it or not, it's a very different mental attitude, a very different mindset develops as a result of doing it that way, because all you have left is work time. Sure, no problem. We're going to be talking about you later. So, yeah, you're our featured guest. So if you think about it, right, when you're working all the time, work, the back of your mind is thinking, I'm missing out on all this great stuff. But if you plan for the great stuff first, and you're out there working, it's a very different dynamic, which you've discovered on your own. So that's great. Yeah. By the way, I owe you $5 for saying it exactly the way we rehearsed. No, I'm only kidding. That's wonderful. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Bernadette. I'm gonna go to you. So, how important is training to your business development and your career growth?
I think it's absolutely fundamental, and I think it should be that way throughout your entire career, not just the beginning. I started with the Ignite program, and it was a great program because it allowed us to meet various seasoned agents. So some of them are in the room right now, actually, and just hear feedback from how they started, what kept them going, and how their days are planned out. And so I definitely think whether it's, in my second year, I did the Mike Ferry organization as well, just to figure out that work-life balance and figure out how to be most productive during a certain fixed amount of time in your day. I think it's integral to your business and your personal life as well, just to be able to balance it all together. So I think you should always sign up for something every year.
Perfect. Thank you. How about you, Craig?
Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry, the question is how important is training to your business development and your career growth?
Yeah, it's very instrumental, I would say. We do about an hour of training each day on my team between 8:30 and 9 and 12 and 12:30. And it really develops us as agents, and we get a lot of tips from more experienced agents who have gone through different markets and different situations and understand exactly how to handle them. When I started in real estate, I did a lot of cold calling and a lot of lead generation over the phone. And prior to starting that, I probably had about 2 years of education already from salespeople. Grant Cardone mostly. I listened to all of his books and all of his programs, and it's become a subconscious habit. So when I started making those phone calls, even though I had no experience making phone calls, I already knew the steps that I had to take prior to that. So it's really helped me start the business, and now it's just a matter of staying committed to that and continue to develop those skills, because we're always learning, and I'm learning stuff every day.
That's awesome. Thank you. Gemma, same question. How important is training to your business development and your career growth?
Very important. I think that we don't stop learning all our life until we die. We don't stop learning. So I do like to watch a lot of video on YouTube, and I don't like reading per se, because it's not that I don't like it, I don't have the time for it. So I do listen to Audible whenever I'm in the car, whenever I can. I know that sometimes my husband asks me to watch a movie on Friday night. I'm like, I would prefer to watch a video on YouTube that could teach me something, but whatever. I do like it. I do like to learn. I feel that it gives me like so much energy, and seeing what other people are doing and how they're doing it and how I can improve and how I can learn to serve people better. This is what I want to do. So I think learning is important.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I was just asking the question out there.
So
I know, I heard you.
Answer.
I was
You
there. No, I was
did
writing
not
it down.
listen.
I was writing it down over there, Gemma. How about you, Michelle? How important has training been to your business development, career growth?
So I wouldn't be here without training. As I mentioned when I first started, I had a ton of limiting beliefs. Thank God I read the books and met even the people who told me about the trainings, audibles. When I first started, I was fortunate enough to go through Ignite. My numbers, I definitely hit them, which spiraled my career and is definitely a reason why I did 5 deals in the 7th month. I was also fortunate to go to Bold, which is very like an extenuation off of it. It's fantastic. So training is super important, and it's funny you say watching movies. My boyfriend's here too. When I can't sleep, I'm turning on some documentary or and he's like, "Can you turn that off?" Always. Or when we're turning on Netflix, it's like, "Can we watch documentary? Can we watch documentary?" But I want to emphasize not only training with real estate. You can get really caught up in the real estate industry and what other people want to say, but training for personal growth and even your interests. Maybe you can tie that into the real estate career somehow. So training for everything.
Yeah.
So there's a few people here from other companies, just people that are brand new. You keep hearing this term Ignite, right? It's that poster over there. So I just want to explain what it is. So Ignite is proprietary. It's a Keller Williams program that helps ignite someone's career. And it's amazing. People always say, how are you developing all of these new people into top producers all the time? Well, it's methodical, quite frankly. It's the #1 training company in the world. And we, not just in real estate, but in the world, out of all industries. It's the fastest growing and the largest real estate company in the world. And the reason we've been able to do that is, quite frankly, our education is far better. So Ignite is sort of an introductory, let's ignite, start your career, but it's also become, let's reignite your career and take it to the next level. And then the next proprietary program is Bold, right, which is very intense. It's 7 weeks. Average amount of transactions written are, I think, 14.8. It's, what are those stats? You recall what they were calling? I want to put you on the spot. 14, yeah. And so interesting. So just last month here in our classroom, we had people that took 2 training events or more in the last 30 days, did 39.79% more GCI than people in our company that didn't. 32.36% more volume, and wrote 40.11% more units. It's not a fluke, right? There's statistical proof why training, that you're all talking about, whatever that training may be, is so important to taking your career to the next level. So if you're in the room and you're new, you should actually be diarizing a part of your time towards training. All of our top agents do that. That's just how it is. And the success and the clues are here for you. All right. I'm going to go to Craig. What great real estate training have you taken and that you'd highly recommend to everybody that's here?
I took Ignite. I took it before I got my license, actually about 3 months before I got my license. And I think it's a great time to take it. You don't have to be a realtor to do it. I was in the middle of my courses, and it was great to teach you the habits and the lifestyle that you have to lead, and the habits and the discipline that you have to develop to be a successful agent. It was fantastic. I'd recommend it to everybody.
Thank you. How about you, Gemma?
I don't know about Ignite, but now that I know about it, I might do it as well. I went for the CNE, so it's Certified Negotiator Expert. It helped me a lot. I'm actually going to, there's 3 courses. I'm going for an extra 2. One starts on Monday and Tuesday, and then the other one I'll do in March. It helps me a lot with my negotiation skills and teach me to essentially, 'cause I'm French, right? So French people are like, ugh. So it teach me to calm down and help me a lot. So it did help me a lot. But Ignite sounds
I think
wonderful.
you'd enjoy it. And you don't have to be with our company to take it, right? I think. Is it open to everybody? Or is it? To everybody. Yeah, so Ignite's open to everybody. So you're more than welcome to come and take Ignite, Gemma. How about you, Michelle? I'm going to get the question again. So what great training have you taken that you'd highly recommend everybody in the room?
So, because Ignite and Bold was already mentioned, anything to do with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is essentially the way that our minds work. And the reason was powerful for me in my career, and I noticed as I learned more and more, I get my hands on every video I can find, It helps you with your people skills and really understand why someone's body language is the way it is, so you can better interact with your clients and build rapport.
I'm really nervous for your boyfriend. I am. Dude, you and I are going to have a beer after this. We're going to just... Yeah. Okay. Bernadette, how about you?
So, of course, Ignite, I can't say it enough. You learn so many great habits.
Excuse me, I have to interrupt you for a moment.
Yeah.
And Bernadette's at Roll a Page, right?
Yeah. He didn't pay me. He didn't pay me to
No.
say this.
No.
So I learned all the great habits I have now. I can't say it enough. Definitely Ignite helped me with that. Even like booking the showings for the appointments when when you don't have a buyer and you're just looking at properties. That all came from that program. So I have to say thank you to you guys for that. And then the other thing that I did was the Mike Ferry. It was pretty expensive of a training, but it helped with accountability to that work-life balance as well as being productive during the hours you're supposed to be. And if you're new and you don't want to spend that kind of money, just having a mastermind group. So setting a group of 5 of you or 10 of you and just holding each other accountable, doing the scripts together in the mornings and making sure you're all waking up at the right time and doing the lead gen together is also a great way of starting that training as well within
Perfect.
yourself.
All right, thanks. Simple question. Craig, scripts, do you use them?
When I started, I definitely did. I had a notebook of handwritten scripts and formulas to go through when I ended up speaking to somebody. When they would give me objections or certain scenarios, I'd have a map of where I would go with my conversation and how to counter these tough questions. So that's how I started out. Right now, I don't use it. I have it somewhere in my file cabinet, but it's all in my head right now. So I definitely use scripts, and we do scripting every day, but it becomes natural.
Perfect. Okay, how about you, Bernadette?
Same. I also did the scripts. We had script partners in the Ignite program, and I carried that through every year. I would say that to what Craig said, I mean, it's important to start with that, and you do remember a lot of it, and it becomes natural. You make it your own as well. But like in changing markets, when I started in 2016, and what the market is right now is a totally different market, and there's no script for that right now. So you do have to rewrite those scripts and practice them again and again so that you know exactly how to rebuttal these conversations today.
So I want to clarify, thank you. So I want to clarify something. So sometimes people hear the word script and they think robotic or like really rehearsed. I want to clarify that. All a script is a way for you to get some major points out to sort of combat an objection that you may commonly hear. Doesn't mean you have to say it the same way all the time, every time. That's not what this is. So it's interesting because people sometimes hear it and they think it's creepy, that's not me, it's not natural. It's not about that. It's just that you want to be caught off guard. You want to be able to give an answer that touches on the major points. You may not be saying the same thing the same way every time to the same objection that you're facing, but it's so much better to kind of have an idea of how to handle it in advance, rather than going back saying, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have done that. So I want you to think about scripts that way if you don't mind. I'm going to go to you, Michelle. So thinking back, day one again, what would you do differently if you were starting all over again? Go for it.
So my biggest point, or what I would do differently, is just go. Like, stop waiting, stop analyzing, stop trying to be someone you're not. Just be yourself, authentic and real, genuine. I know you probably hear this, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're more than just salespeople, and there's nothing more important than being two souls connecting in a conversation. You will kill a listing presentation, anything, if you're able to connect with another individual. The only way you're going to connect with the other individual is if you be yourself and they genuinely want to do business with you. So drop all the garbage you hear and just be yourself.
I love the answer too, because there's this facade, that everyone puts on this facade in our business. There's no need for that. And once you come to grips, and you learn it really early, so I'm really proud of you, just to be yourself, it makes all the difference in the world, right? And when you can look somebody in the eye and make them a promise, a sincere promise of how you're going to take care of their family, and how you're going to help them achieve whatever they want to buy or sell or whatever, and you really mean it, it's like the greatest thing ever, because you're just being yourself, right? I love that. Gemma, how about you? Going back to day one. Okay, English now is working okay. Somehow. If you could reflect back on that, what would you do differently today, reflecting on how you started?
I would just be more pushy and don't take no for an answer. No does not mean no until it's dead no.
Right. So I have a document for you to sign before you leave today. Craig, I'm going to you. I'm not going to take no for an answer. Craig, go to you. Going back to day one, thinking back to that, what would you do differently today?
I would just be more confident and realize that every new interaction, every new meeting is a fresh slate, and nobody really knows how experienced you are. It's how you carry yourself,
Right.
and your tone and your professionalism and your knowledge. Not even if you don't have the experience, you can still learn the knowledge. So I think sales is fantastic in that you can start from any position, whether you're 40 or whether you're 20, and you can start without any minimum requirements at all. It's all hard work and yourself.
I think that's good advice. And you don't have to say, hey, I'm new, right?
No.
You
And
shouldn't.
even if you are new, and you shouldn't,
Yeah.
really, and even if you are new, so what? I've learned that a lot of the new realtors actually are way better educated because it's getting harder and harder and harder, the whole certification, education process. You definitely know more than your client does. So stop apologizing for being new. There's no need for that. Bernadette, go back to day one. What would you do differently? All right.
I would get out of my head. I spent like those first 90 days were difficult. There was so many days, I can't count, but that I would walk up to a door, my first door that I'm going to door knock, and then just get back in my car and drive home. And I did that for at least a week, 10 times at least, before I actually got the courage to actually knock on that first door. And it was because I was so in my head. I had never sold a home. I'd never bought a home. I was just about to close my home, so I didn't even own a home at the time. And it was tough. And I now looking back realize I could have just leveraged, and that's what you should all do, is just leverage your office, because your office is successful already. So bring the listings of your office, right? And door knock those and say, hey, this is my office's stats. And you'll gain, it's really hard. We're all sitting up here after 2 years, 3 years, and we're confident because of where the business has taken us. So it's really hard to tell somebody new, just be confident. It's super hard, as many YouTube videos as you watch. But the more experience that you get, you'll just grow with that confidence. I'm totally like a different person today than I was when I first started this business. And so just get out there, use your office stats, and just be confident behind them.
It's a very good
Right?
point. So at the beginning, it's a very good
Yeah.
point. At the beginning, you're going to rely more heavily on the accolades of your brokerage than you are on your own personal accolades. So you're going to have things like testimonials to your character and all those sorts of things. That's going to even out as your tenure increases, and then it's going to go the other way.
Right.
So that's just the natural progression that you described, which is really good. Okay. I'm going to go to Craig. What's the biggest obstacle in your business right now, and how are you handling it?
Ooh, that's pretty easy. It's staying organized and keeping track of everything, and being very proactive and follow up, and staying on top of everybody else, because as you get busy, you have less time and you have more people to deal with, and utilizing systems and leveraging my team has been a great help, but it's still a challenge even today. Even today, I had big problems this afternoon.
Organization. Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks for the candor. How about you, Bernadette? Biggest obstacle in your business right now?
You
and
know
how are you
what?
handling it?
Yeah, as you get busy, you kind of, I'm not following up with the people I've met every day when I'm lead generating. And I find that that's my biggest problem right now, is when I'm great with the follow-up with the leads that are on my table, where I'm buying and doing the existing transaction, but all those people I have in a database that I've knocked the day before, I'm not calling them. And it's because I'm just busy with what I have. And so implementing a system in place where I block, and that's what I'm doing now, is blocking at least an hour of that morning to call the people that I met the day before.
Pretty good. And we're going to come to that
Yeah.
a little bit later on some ideas around that. How about you, Michelle?
My biggest obstacle right now would be time. I'm wearing too many hats. I'm well aware of it. I'm a control freak, so I'm doing my best to cope with giving things off to other people and looking at the long term of building wealth versus doing everything myself. So that's my biggest challenge right now. I am going to master it though, looking into an assistant, which is
We're
great.
going to come to that, so I'm glad there's a segue. That's good. Okay. Jem, I'm going to you on this. What type of lead generation do you do, and how long do you do it for, and how often do you do your lead generation?
So I first started with only postcards, farming. So I was doing every 2-3 weeks, but really, like, you can't just do it for 3 months and say, oh, it's not working, because really my first phone call from my postcard that I've done every 3 weeks came after 8 months. But that 8-month one paid for the entire year because they bought and sell with me. So the thing is, whatever you're going to do it for a long time. So I do postcards, farming, then I door knock those people, and I bring them some value. So I tell them, okay, here what's sold in your street, here how much it's sold in your street, and here's what's on the market. I don't just go with nothing. I also recently added web lead generation, where I get phone number and email address from people who are just registering, and I already closed 2 people, 2 sales. So that paid for my entire next 2 years. Yes, it is a lot of work, but you need to learn how to convert them as well. A little bit of luck helps. And I started that in January. It's a really good one. And then the door knocking. And I'm doing also a lot of Facebook. As I said, Facebook is, people need to see you're busy. People see that you're successful. Success attracts success, and they want to use you because of that. I always text all the time people to say, hey, how you doing? Do you need anything? Whatever you want. If somebody's sick or whatever, I'm trying to go and get them something, so then they remember that, you know, I brought something to them. So it's not just one thing I do. It's little things that I do all day long. So yes, it is Facebook, it is the web, it is postcard, it is door knocking, it is all that, which there's not enough hours in the day.
Okay. So 2 things with you. So first of all, lead generation is something different for everybody. So you're going to hear a variety of things right now. The one thing that really stood out for me in what Gemma said is that she's bringing people things of value. So not going out and saying, do you want to sell your house now in the near future? No, okay.
Yeah.
Right? You're going out there and you're bringing them information, which is our biggest tool. You're bringing them something. You're consultative. And by virtue of giving first, you will get. So that's the general concept. I want to ask you, because I know a bit about your business, how many flyers in the first area and then the second area, and how often?
So that's the thing. When I started, we moved in Innisville so we could have me not working and my husband pay the bills. So we were in Innisville, and I send 2,500 postcard every 2-3 weeks. And then we moved in August back to Newmarket. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to stop in Innisville because I have something going on that's great there. So I'm not stopping that, but I'm going to add on to Newmarket. So now I'm doing 5,000 to 6,000 5,000 to 6,000 postcards every 2 to 3 weeks. And my husband, who is my graphic designer, really doesn't like me right now.
No, he's also the guy delivering them. So you want
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't.
You're coming with us for the beer. Yeah, all husbands. Great. All right. Craig, how about you? So we're going to go back to the question. So types of lead generation you do, for how long and how often?
Yeah, my team is really internet-based. I would say 95% of our leads are from our listings, from online sources, and we do subscribe to a few online lead generation sources, Agent Pronto, Agent Locator, and we put all those into our CRM, and we cultivate those through phone calls. We do experiment with a little bit of door knocking. We're looking to get into farming, but then the rest of our lead generation would be open houses. So we do maybe 10 a month, 10 open houses per month, and we rotate throughout all of our listings to get as many leads as possible through open houses, and then we nurture them through the phone, because we find it's the best way to leverage our time to reach out to as many people as possible.
Excellent, thank you. How about you, Bernadette? Types of lead generation, right? How often How long? What do you do?
Yeah, door knocking for sure. So it's different depending on what my transaction looked like. If I had just put something up on the market, just listed, I'm printing out black and white flyers and knocking the street that I've listed the home on and just letting them know that there is going to be an open house. I do that street every day. I would, on the weekend, probably on the Friday, do an open house invitation and just kind of make them feel special, everybody on the street, and let them know that they're invited to this open house. So I do that for every open house for sure. If you don't have an open house, I was attending other people's open houses when I first started, because you're not gonna have a listing right off the bat. But open houses is probably the single most effective way of lead generating, because everyone walking through those doors, whether it's the summer or winter, they're interested. Even if it's a nosy neighbor, she's got a sister or a cousin, right, who's interested in buying. So you want to really interact. And I've been to other open houses and the agent's just sitting there and they're like, here, sign, and, walk through the house. I give every single person that walks in a tour, and because I can converse with them. What are you doing? Are you from the neighborhood? And you have a list of questions you want to ask that comes natural. Open houses, door knocking, and now I'm really or since I started Instagram and Facebook, I sold a few homes off of Instagram and Facebook, and I think it's this new generation. There's this, everyone, I don't want to put a age range on it, but there's a lot of people on Instagram now who, they use it like Google almost, that search tool. And so, post everything that you can, whether you're door knocking, whether you're signing a contract, take a picture and post it, and you'll see how much conversations come out of that as well.
Excellent, thank you. How about you, Michelle?
So when I first started, I door knocked and cold called. That was my main source of business when I started to get my first listing. From there, I was getting quite busy, and I was getting a lot of sign calls, doing a lot of open houses. Now in my second year, my main source of lead generation is my social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. They call it organic media, so it's not paid media, it's posts of my life and my content that I'm putting out there, and I've built my business around more of, I'm placing myself as a public figure, and I have people like fans following me, in which they fall in love with the idea of what I'm doing, and they're referring me their parents, their friends. So my business is off of organic media, and I also, the question is, how long do you lead gen? I don't turn off. I've got leads from the dentist, from the gym. The gym's like my second home, so I set up booths there. From Bali, I was in Indonesia, and there was a couple that just got married moving to Mississauga. Ended up doing a deal with them. When I'm in the store, a great source of business is going into the internet providers, and they can't leave. So ask them, tell them you're a real estate agent. Just constantly being on and networking with every single person, everyone. You can ask my boyfriend. There's times where we go in the mall and he has to take a couple laps around because he sees that I've just striked up a conversation with someone, which happens all the time.
So here's what I find very interesting. Thank you. People misinterpret the definition of lead generation. Lead generation is not, I'm going to send out flyers, my lead generation is done. I'm going to do an open house and sit there, my lead generation is done. Or I'm going to go to the mall with my boyfriend and my lead generation is done, or what have you. Lead generation is different for everyone. But all it really is, the secret is this. It's just the mechanism to get to the conversation. So, how many people have shown up at someone's home and you're doing a listing and there's someone else's fridge magnet or calendar on the fridge, right? Mm-hmm. Right. The reason is because they felt that that marketing piece would be enough for that person to use them to represent their family in a transaction. But the truth of the matter is, that might be the start. But in the absence of the conversation, nothing else happens. And nothing's stronger than the relationship that you build. That fridge magnet or that calendar or whatever is never going to beat the conversations you're having. So I want you to remember that really lead generation is just some mechanism that you like to do. It's not the same for everybody. But whatever you find that you like to do, it's going to be that's going to get you to the conversations. And my theory is 20 conversations at minimum per day will yield you all the results you ever want to have. 20 meaningful conversations about real estate. Okay, so if you think about it, a lot of you have heard this over and over again. I'm going to say it again because I really do mean it. If you had 20 conversations working only 5 days a week, My math tells me that's 100 conversations. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And let's say you only work 48 weeks a year. That's 4,800 conversations. Is that correct? Okay. Let's say you converted in a meaningful conversation the same conversion rate as an internet person. 2%. That's 96 transactions a year. Average commission in our area is what? Even if it's $10,000, it's $960,000 in GCI. So if you think about it logically, if you track your last week's activities, and you look at how many meaningful conversations you had in real estate, and you match that up against your expectation for your goals, does that support your goal? In fact, one of the things we're teaching is I would challenge somebody. I would bet if you can have 20 meaningful conversations a day about real estate, it would be impossible not to achieve those goals. Interesting, right? So it really boils down to that. So what you've discovered is a mechanism to get to the conversation, which is really exciting. Because some people, quite frankly, go through their whole real estate career and they never discover that. And you got to find what's right for you, whatever that may be. So well done. All right, Bernadette, what tips and tools for organization, follow-up, and scheduling would you recommend to everybody here?
I'm still learning how to organize my life, so I would say get yourself on a CRM. That's something that I regret not doing from day one. I'm now inputting all of my entire database into a CRM now, like I'm a new agent. So definitely CRM. And for organization, Google Drive, like anything that's going to help you keep your schedule intact, your block times intact. I have a home office, and so I just got a big cork board. I'm pretty old school that way. I got a big cork board, and I've got all of my important meetings and anything that I need a reminder of just pinned up on that, and I change that. Now I'm going to be changing that every week. So whatever works for you, I'm not as tech savvy as some of the other people in this room. So whether it's using some sort of technology to do it or just a book, like a calendar, a notebook for you to just pencil that all in, that and definitely CRM.
So I'm baffled. When did a cork board become old school?
I know,
still
I love
rely
it.
on the cork board. Yeah, okay. Greg, how about you? What tips and tools for organization?
Yeah, CRM is a fantastic tool. I'd say if you're starting out and you don't want to jump into CRM, Excel is a great tool to use. But as soon as you can, I'd suggest getting a good CRM that you can structure your reminders and your tasks and have everything in order. My team uses Follow Up Boss. We've used Commissions Incorporated Sync before, and everybody says Follow Up Boss is the best CRM because it's the one that you will use. I can't speak to that. I've only used the two, but I'd highly recommend a good CRM where you can organize everything. And then I use the Google Suite with Google Calendar and Gmail, and I integrate those two pretty well, and it's nice to see everything organized on my Google Calendar.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Jim, I want to ask you a question. Do you have an assistant? And if so, when did you hire that person? And if not, when are you intending on hiring that assistant?
So there's not enough hours in the day, and I did just hired somebody to help me because I do need the help. And if I could look back and do it again, I would have hired her day one. Yes, it is money. Yes, she's going to cost me money, but honestly, she's doing so much of what I don't want to do that it's worth all the money in the world for me right now. She's doing things that, again, English is not my first language, so for me to write, even if it's just Facebook posts, she's writing them so much better than I do, and she's getting more interaction than I could ever have done. So just that was a blessing. I hired her back in December because I was going to go to France and my family for 2 weeks, and I just freaked out and thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for 2 weeks? I'm not going to have my computer and be able to do everything. So I hired her just before I left, and it was the best thing I've ever done. I'm very happy about it. So every single day I give her more to do, and she's awesome.
Excellent. Now, I don't think, Michelle or Bernadette, you have assistants,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But that's on the agenda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Absolutely.
Because I'm just looking for the next career for me. I want to know where I'm sending my applications. And Greg, your team has an assistant, and that works
You
well
can
for
submit your resume. At
Thank
the
you
end
very
of it.
much. Yes, that's good. I'm going to have Gemma's assistant write it for me because apparently she's very good.
No, she's staying with me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
And you have an assistant on your team too.
We do. We actually have 4 virtual assistants who are overseas in the Philippines. So we have one for managing our listings, one for managing marketing, one for our tech systems, and one for our admin paperwork. And then we also have a director of operations at one of our teams in Cambridge that oversees everything else. I've joined a team right away, so I've always had these assistants, so I never had to do all this administration stuff. I can't imagine having to do it because it's way over my head. I don't look forward to any of that. But I think an admin has been great leverage for my business personally.
And you raised something really interesting too. So some people are always concerned about the cost. I would suggest that what you think about is the return on investment rather than the cost. And my assistant's sitting out in the hall, and she would tell you, I don't know how to load a listing, I don't order signs. She's laughing, the lockbox. No, I don't. That's not my top 20% of activities. I don't even need to know, quite frankly. I don't need to know. And maybe the progression into getting an assistant is somebody virtually initially or part-time initially. But I will tell you, there's no way you can build a big business, one worth selling, without having an assistant. There's no way you're going to have work-life balance to the highest degree without an assistant. And I got to tell you something else too. It's kind of like if you were to call, like Better Call Saul, and you get the lawyer answering the phone himself, or you're going to call and speak to someone's assistant who's going to put you through to the person you're trying to reach. Right off the bat, it's a very different level of respect. It's a very different mindset. It's all of those things. So good on you for that. Okay. On mindset, Michelle, I'm going to go to you. How do you guard your mindset against negativity and towards positivity?
So this is a really key for me, mindset. Really, really key. I shed a lot of people in the last year and 7 months, including close friends. I remember being at a cottage retreat with 7 of my best girlfriends from high school. We've been friends for years. And I remember sitting them down and saying, if you guys aren't going to support me or even ask me how my day is with my job, because they didn't bring it up once, I can't be friends with you anymore. Because as I say, you're like the 5 people you surround yourself by. So if they're blood, not blood, I don't give a shit. If they're not good for you, they're gone. So I've shed a lot of people. I guard my mindset by being very consciously aware with who I interact with. And depending on, because our jobs is like a roller coaster, we have our ups and downs. So when I'm at my lows, I definitely stay away from the people who play the victim. And I constantly am looking into new trainings and other ways to get me back up if that's the case.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. How about you, Bernadette? Guarding your mindset.
Yeah, so like Michelle, I had so many close friends and family members that I don't know what it was. I don't know if everyone can speak to this, but when we started, not everyone believed we were going to do great, and when we did great so fast, it was maybe intimidating for them. And so you felt that, like when you were around them, you felt it, and it always came off as a negative conversation or an energy. And like you, like a lot of my friends that I've been friends with for years, I just had to shed as well. Started to just spend less and less time. And was always a people pleaser, never wanted to say no to an invite to anything. And over the years in this business, I've learned to be selfish with my time. And I think that's the best way to guard your mindset, is whether it's giving yourself that time, whether you have kids or not, like giving yourself that hour to go to yoga or go to the gym so that you can be strong first, or saying no to a birthday party on a Thursday night because you have an early morning lead generating time block for you set up on Friday morning. So being very selfish with your time, and then these occasional trainings, the YouTube videos, the gym has really changed my life as well. I would recommend all of them.
Perfect. Thank you. How about you, Craig? How do you guard your mindset?
Well, I like to prevent myself from getting to that point. So I like to have my personal time in the morning and make sure that I'm reaching those other goals, not just focusing strictly on business and keeping a social life. But there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of rejection that happens in this business, and it always does get myself down. So what's the most important thing for me is to write out my goals, to make sure that I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, because we can get into a routine in this business, and especially when we're getting a lot of rejection, we can wonder why we're doing this, and then we want to stop doing this. But I write a 411 every week, which is a goal sheet, which has my yearly goal, my monthly goal, and broken down into weekly goals. So I have an idea of what I have to do to reach this certain goal, and I have a reason to be working on all of the lead generation, all of the appointments, because there's a greater picture for my life that this is all a piece of.
And thank you for explaining 411, because if somebody's not with Keller Williams, they won't quite
I have
grasp
it.
that.
I have it right here. Let me pull it up.
That's awesome. There you go.
Did he pay you to bring that?
No, I did not. Good for you. Thank you. How about you, Gemma? How do you guard your mindset against negativity?
Well, I drink wine.
More wine for Gemma, please.
No, I'm not an alcoholic. Please don't think that. It's
This is Lori, my assistant, everybody. Way to go, Lori.
Thank you. No, I'm good. Otherwise, I'm gonna start dancing on this table, and it's not.
I'm not going to thank you.
It's a little bit more sad. I lost my sister and my dad within 5 days last January. They both passed within 5 days. But 2 days before my sister passed, I was at the hospital with her. She was dying from cancer. She was 45. And she and I took a picture that day. It was the best day of my life, honestly, with her. She had this huge smile and told me, you know what? Life is beautiful. Just enjoy life. Life is beautiful. And I have this picture in front of me when I work, and I watch her every day. And every time I have a bad day, because real estate is like high and low and high and low, and we would just go like that, right? You never know, like from 8 o'clock in the morning, it's fantastic, and at 10, you want to kill yourself. But at the end of the day, I remember. But at the end of the day, I remember that she was 45. She had 3 kids that she left, and her last words were, "Life is beautiful." So I don't want to make anybody cry, especially myself. But it is true. Life is beautiful. So just get the shit out of where it comes from. It's not important.
How lovely is that? Now, I got to tell you, Gary, you can talk to this. So I talk about compartmentalization as a very key skill, right? Is that helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's the deal. In our business, you need to learn compartmentalization. It's a key skill. So you can have a terrible day one day, but don't bring it into the next day, because it will cause you to be on a downward spiral. You have to compartment. If you want to leave that day, go drink with the 3 guys that I'm going to go drinking with later on tonight, whatever, go do it. But that's it. That's the end of it. The next day, it's a new day. Conversely, don't rest on the laurels of yesterday either. You might have had 3 deals, 4 deals, you're all excited. That's wonderful. You want to go party with the guys in a different way? That's still cool. The next day is a new day. So until you learn the skill of compartmentalization, you're going to be very prone to this. And in our particular business, you have to really guard that, because it has a direct impact on your mindset, right? I'm going to stay with you. It's such a beautiful answer. Ready? I want you to tell me, Gemma, about your short-term and your long-term goals.
Okay, I'm gonna need more wine this
Yeah,
time.
all right. She doesn't want the wine. You just sat down. I know.
No, I'm joking.
She's saying no. Okay.
Short term, so I achieved 250 this year in 2018. I'm going to do 350 this year. It's coming, that's for sure. That's minimum 350 this year. In the next 5 years, I hope to achieve more. I don't know what is this answer. I know that my husband wants to retire in the next, 5-10 years? Well, I don't know. So maybe I do want to do that with him. I think I do. I'm not sure yet. Again, I love to work too much. So the long-term goal, I still don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. That's
But
okay.
yeah.
But
Be
you have an
happy?
immediate goal of 350. 250 was last year.
Yes,
And
250
you have a
was
plan to
last
get to
year.
the 350.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's
Okay.
coming.
Okay. Greg, how about you? Short-term, long-term goals.
Yeah, for this year, I want to triple my business. So this year I want to do 60 transactions, which is 26 million in volume. And in 2 years, I definitely want to start my own team. So in Niagara, we're going to split into Hamilton and Niagara, and I'd like to spearhead one of those. as far away as that is, I do have a greater goal. I do want to start a secondary business that runs separate from real estate. I'm not sure exactly what that would look like, but I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit, and I want to build something else when I have the ability and when I know exactly what it is.
That's great. Now, have you conveyed to the leader of your team that's your ambition?
Yes.
Good. I would suggest what you do is put a plan together for them, a proposal, in writing, and ask for a formal meeting, okay? And if you need my help, I want you to call me.
Okay.
Deal?
Yeah.
All right. Bernadette, how about you? Short-term goals, long-term goals?
Yeah, so short-term goals, my commission goal this year is $350,000. I am also actively looking for a buyer agent, as well as I need to have an assistant as well. So these are my short-term goals. Long-term goals, I've also started a construction company, so I built custom homes as well. We finished our first home last year, gave them their keys on Christmas Eve, so that was the best Christmas present last year. So I'd like to figure this out because I love real estate. Last year I didn't do as many transactions in real estate because I was focusing on the custom home. But I realized how much I love real estate. Like I miss the transactions, like meeting the different families, and where it's a custom home, it's just the one family the entire year. And so I want to build a team. My 5-year goal is to be able to have the construction company and the team together, the real estate team together, and figure out how to make everyone money.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Michelle? Short-term and long-term goals.
So my short-term goals is to double my production. So I'm going to net commission $300,000 this year. I'm going to hire an admin. And I'm also in the midst of raising $25,000 for the Canadian Mental Health Association with Red Day.
Love that.
So I'm
Ooh, we're
super
gonna
excited to pair up with a charity, and CMHA is really close to my heart. So pairing charity with business with the help of Keller Williams. And my long-term goals, I'm still playing around with the idea of a team versus staying as an individual. But I do want to start my own reality television show. If it's through YouTube or HGTV, I don't care. And also help mentor agents eventually. I love to educate and help. So that's my long-term goals.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. Gemma, I'm going to go to you. Have you developed a geographic or demographic farm? Now, you did touch on that a little bit. The answer is yes. Tell us briefly about that.
So as I said, I started in Innisville with 2,500 postcards, and I door knock, and then I really built my business there. Now I moved in Newmarket in August, so I am developing my business as well in Newmarket.
Okay, now you mentioned that, I think you said, how many months did it take until you got your first deal?
8 months.
8 months.
8
So in
months.
farming course, it takes 9 months, and you should expect to before you. So, and that deal paid for all of those efforts.
For the year, yeah. So the thing is, if you see, like, I don't know, everybody is on internet, right? Like everybody goes to Facebook, everybody goes to Instagram, you name it, whatever, it's on internet. How many postcards do you receive, really? Not that many anymore, right? So if you can do it in a way that you're going to touch people with the message, you have 3 seconds, because really it's going to take them 3 seconds to look at your postcard and put it in the garbage. You have 3 seconds for them to bring the postcard to the garbage. This is when they call you, or not. And then you go door knock those people. And then I also, again, I'm not taking no for an answer. So I go again, and then I bring chocolate. And then it's Easter, and I bring more chocolate. And it's summer, and then I bring them whatever. But I bring something always. It's either chocolate or listings or whatever. Like, I remember one time I was at No Frills, and I bought goldfish, right? Goldfish, like enormous amount of goldfish. And people looked at me like, oh my gosh, like, you know. And I'm just, my card was saying, I'm fishing for your referral.
That's cute.
Well, do you know how many people called me from that? It was just madness. So just do it.
By the way, I
Just
expect
do it.
chocolate today. I want you to know. Okay. our last question, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to start with you, Bernadette.
Sure.
If you could boil it down to just one thing that's been the key factor in your success,
Right.
what would it be?
Hands down, mindset. Mindset means a lot of different things to me. So one, believing in yourself is mindset. You know, giving yourself enough courage to get up and meet new people and tell them you're going to be great at doing this for them, and making them with promises and making sure you give that back to them. And so believing in yourself, number one, and mindset, because every single day you're going to encounter some sort of negativity through the day, whether it's a rejection at the door or a deal falling apart or a family member or a friend telling you something negative. And so I definitely think if you can protect your mindset, and this is for whether you're new or you're seasoned, 10 years, 5 to 50 years down the line, you'll go a long way.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. How about you, Craig? One thing.
One thing, I would say it was discipline that kept me going, and I view discipline as something that you can develop and get better at, and eventually you build habits that become natural. But discipline is a little bit different than motivation, and for me, developing that determination was really hard to do, but it's something that doesn't have a ceiling, and that you can still develop years into your business, and
It's grit.
It's been important.
Yeah, it's time
grit.
on task over time, right? Excellent. Okay, how about you, Gemma? One thing.
I'm passionate. I just, I love you, you'll know it. I don't like you, you'll know it. Passion is in my blood. So, yeah.
Passion. And last but not least, Michelle,
So
one thing.
yeah, off of mindset. I kid you not, because I did it. I had zero to 100K in under a year. So it's possible, and that's all mindset, guys. I have no real estate background, no family friends in real estate, but choose to be successful, and it's cliche, and then go after it. Don't find a way to be successful. Don't search the people who are successful. Choose and then go.
Yeah.
Now, it's
Absolutely.
interesting. So with mindset, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
How about a round of applause for this pair? All right. Okay, we're going to open it up for some questions, a little Q&A. Show of hands. Who's got a question? Or do they answer everything on your mind? Yes, sir.
For those that have an admin, and for the young ladies that want to get an admin, what do the admins do for you? And what are you expecting the admins to do for you?
Okay. Should I start?
I
Or-
can answer
Go ahead.
that. I'm not entirely sure what they do. I just email them. Email them a group chat them. This is what we need, and they've been trained by our director of operations to do it, and they're really good at what they do, and they have pride in what they do. And these are the virtual assistants who I've never met, but they live in the Philippines, which is 12 hours ahead of us. So they're working through the night there to be assisting us in our business.
And sir, what I would say to you is this. Here's a great exercise. So I want you to follow yourself, for lack of a better term, for a whole week. So let's say next week, for example. And in 15-minute intervals, write down everything that you do. And at the end of the week, put a dollar value beside that activity. It's going to be very, very eye-opening. Fortune 500 companies do that. So to answer your question, you're going to determine very quickly all those activities that are not in what we call your top 20% at Keller Williams. So things that you should be handing off to an administrator, that's an administrative related responsibility. And then you're going to realize you have all this extra time to work on your top 20% activities. They're going to yield you 80% of your results. So the first step really is for you to figure out what you're doing with your week, day by day. So the best way to do it is to do exactly that. It's going to be very revealing. You're going to be like, holy smokes. Now what do? I figured out all this stuff I don't want to do or shouldn't be doing, right? So that would be the first step for hiring administration. Let's take a look at what you're doing right now.
And then for me, really,
sorry.
again, I deal a lot in Innisfil, but I don't live in Innisfil no more. So for me to drive there, it's 45 minutes back and forth, so it's an hour and a half of my day.
Yeah.
Just to put a log box, she does it for me. Like I don't have to drive an hour and a half to put a lockbox or new feeder sheets or my open house signs or stuff like that. Everything like my blog. I'm a horrible like I don't know even how to speak English, so let alone write it, right? So she does this for me because before it took me like 8-10 hours to write a blog. I'm like, I don't want to spend 8-10 hours to write a blog.
It's not the highest and best use of your
No.
time. Not at
So
all.
she does this for me, and honestly, it's amazing.
And I would tell
Do
you,
tell her what to write, or does she just write what she wants? And
Honestly, like I've known this woman, and this is the reason why I hired her. I've known her for quite a bit, and I think she understands me, and she understands my style, and she understands what I like, and she's been on my Facebook, and she's following me, so she knows how I like to talk and what I like to do. I just tell her, okay, just do it.
and I think that's what you. Okay, one
And
of
she
the
does
hardest
it.
things to do, quite frankly, is to let go of all this
Let
stuff.
go.
How many people in the room, show of hands, have an assistant?
Yeah.
Okay, keep your hands up for a sec. How many people in the room with an assistant could do without an assistant? Now that you don't need one anymore. Once you have an assistant, you can do without.
No.
One. Okay. Everybody else says, I can't do without an assistant once I have one. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
That's
Yeah,
great.
You don't have
That's great. Okay. But yeah. So the reality is, though, quite frankly, unless you're supervising it, it's your job, right? So that's the thing. Okay. Who else had a question? Another question at the back. Yes.
It took me 8 months to get one answer, and as I said, they paid for the entire year.
So
And then last year I did 34 deals. Out of those 34 deals that I've made, it probably was 20 deals out of postcards. No, I do every 2 to 3 weeks.
Again,
It's a lot of money. It is. It's
But
a
it's
lot of money.
consistency,
But
right?
it's not. It is consistency, but it's not only do the postcard and forget it. You do the postcard and then you go door knock those people.
supplement it.
Hello, I'm
thing is-
here. And actually, my last listing, I was cleaning up the house, and I saw my postcard that was from Halloween. He kept it, and we were in January. But what I'm saying is, either they are going to end up in the garbage, no question. You have 3 seconds for them to read it and get it. So make sure that in your postcard you're not talking about you, because they don't care about you. What they care is what you're going to do for them. What can you do for them?
And Gemma, when you show up at the door, which is the key component, because this is leading to the conversation, it also makes you a recognizable person,
Yes.
right? It gives you credibility. So it's not about, I'm going to do a postcard and they're going to start calling. It's about the supplemental activity of going out there to meet them. And all of a sudden you become recognized. Or then maybe you have an open house in the area
Yeah.
and you put out like 10 open house signs, because you shouldn't just do 2. Maybe you do it for 4 hours versus 2 hours. And by virtue of that, those things are all going to come together. So you're doing a great thing by not just relying on the marketing piece, but by also going out there in person.
But what I was doing also is, on top of those postcards, when I go door knock, I have like a little magnet that have who do I call if I need a plumber, an electrician, a painter, a photographer, somebody to help me with my internet, or what like that. And yes, that magnet goes on their fridge. Maybe they will call me, maybe they won't. But most of those people that have my magnet love it. And they have used those people, that electrician, that plumber, that painter. And guess what? That painter, that electrician, that plumber, they call me when they have somebody who wants to sell.
Sure. So there's a whole networking advantage to that too. Perfect. Okay.
I just want to say one
Sure,
thing to
go
that.
ahead.
When I first, like, we all have a marketing budget for postcard print media, right? When I first started, it was $100 for the postcards. So I was able to print 100 postcards. So use your money wisely. Like maybe not print so many postcards, print less and go knock those doors.
Yeah.
If you have 100, you know you've knocked 100
Yeah.
doors and you've given 100 people those postcards by hand versus paying for Canada Post to, I still haven't started that, but I will eventually be hiring them to be mailing them out, but I've been handing them out myself. So, you know, you cut down on your, you'll save your money and you'll actually get, by doing it that way, I got it immediately. I got a listing immediately from that.
It's interesting. And at the beginning, you're more labor intensive,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
then
you have
eventually
to be.
you can supplement through marketing initiatives. There was another question.
Sorry,
Yes.
she was, oh, sorry.
Sorry, did you have something else?
No, she was going to say something,
Oh.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, my question is because I've been struggling to do the door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go up to that door, my heart rate
Yeah.
is like
Been there? Yeah. Yeah.
and I slip the card in.
Okay, so I mentioned it took me 10 times to literally go, walk back in my car and drive off. You know what I did the 10th time? I literally took my phone, put a YouTube video, and literally watch it. Those, like, there's like boxing videos, like where they're screaming at you. You just watch one of those and then just go. Worst case scenario, you'll never see them again anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
And what I would say to you is this. You have to change, there's got to be a mechanism, a switch. Don't be going to the door to ask.
Yeah.
You're going there to give.
Yeah.
So if you can really convince yourself, and it's the truth, if you're going there to give them information about this great listing that just happened on their street, it's going to change the whole conversation. So if you're going up there saying, I want your business, help me, that's just going to put you in that state.
Right.
So consider going to the door saying, I'm just coming to let you know, your neighbor just listed their house. It doesn't have to be your company's listing.
Right.
Your neighbor just listed their house. I just thought as a courtesy to come let you know how much it's listed for, to see if you have any friends or family that want to take a look. Or I just listed your neighbor's home, or whatever. That's very different. People always want to know, especially if it's a brand new listing that just came out that day,
Yep.
right? Okay, go for it. I see, I said I was going to come back. Go for it.
Okay.
All right.
Sure. So it depends. Let's say you don't have a listing, so you placed an offer, but you didn't get the offer. So now you're door knocking that street the next morning. You already know that it's sold, whether it's conditional or firm. You're the only one who knows the price if it's firm, because it hasn't been updated on MLS yet. And you're now knocking those doors being like, I've got an active buyer who literally lost the offer last night. Do you want to sell your home? And 9 out of 10 times they're saying no, but you continue that conversation. You ask them, do you know who is? Do you know who is interested on the street? And 9 out of 10 times they want to tell you who on the street is, because they, you know, everyone's got this pride where they're living, right? And so everyone wants to talk to you about their neighbors. So you stand there and you listen, and you might actually get the neighbor that does want to sell. So that's one way. If you've just listed, do an open house invitation, like a little postcard. Again, I've never printed more than 100. And you just go door knock and tell them you're inviting them. So,
Smart.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, just sold, just listed, just sold. So when I first started, my first weeks, I lied. I said, hey, a bunch of neighbors are calling me, asking me what this house sold for. I lied. No one was calling me. No one knew my number. But I lied. And I gave them, I literally I didn't even have the budget for a postcard then. My husband and I were sharing one card. We just got married. All I did was print, and again, printing tells you how many you've talked to, how many people you've talked to. So I only printed 25 black and white MLS of the very last listing that sold on that street. And then you're taking that and going, hey, I just wanted to let you know. I thought since that person had asked me, maybe everyone else would want to know too.
Perfect.
That's it. No pressure. Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Because you're just giving.
Yeah.
You're giving. You're
Yeah.
giving. You're giving. You're giving. And by virtue of that, you get.
Absolutely.
However, somehow, some way, the message got mixed up in our industry where people think they have to go to the door and ask.
No.
So this is great stuff. You figured it out, which is really good. Andrew.
Two things. I saw someone do that. I had won the bidding war, so
Yeah.
I was going in to finalize the deal. And the guy that lost
Yeah.
started door knocking every side.
Yeah.
Like his agent was like, look at all these cars on the street. They all want to buy your house.
Yeah.
And all the neighbors knew. So they're open to it. It's
Right.
wonderful.
Right.
Excellent. Smart.
I had a question. And you're all operating at a very high level, especially for being so have one. I'm not asking what it is, but have you defined your big why? We call it big why in AW. And the reason is because it's hard to do our job, and unless you have a big why that puts you through that fear threshold. Like, so for door knocking, I really don't like door knocking either. I still don't. But someone told me this, and it stuck with me. It's like my big why is my children, right? So I'm like, am I going to let this person stop me from sending my children to university? And that's what gets me through the fear. And so I was wondering if you, well, I don't want to know they are, but have you all defined the big why? And is that why you can operate at such a high level at
Well,
this stage in the game?
For me, honestly, it's I genuinely want to help people. I remember one time this lady called me and said, "We got mortgage fraud. We're losing everything." She just had a baby, like 1 month old baby, 3 kids, and a baby. So that's 4 children. And she's like, "We lost everything. Nobody wants to help us find a rental." And ask my husband if it's not true. Everybody that I went to help them find a rental said no to me. And I put her on my board and I put her name and I'm like, I don't care how long, I don't care how much this is going to cost me. I am going to find a house for this woman. And please ask him. We did. But I probably put like 30 applications for her. I talked to I don't know how many real estate agents to say, listen, this woman is not a bad person. She doesn't have no more credit because of that mortgage fraud that just happened to her. They had a house in Richmond Hill for $1 million home, and they lost everything. At the end of the day, it became so intense in me that I am going to help that woman. And whether I'm selling a house for $1 million or whether I'm selling a house or whether I'm helping a renter, at the end of the day, my big why is I do want to help people genuinely. If I do make money, fantastic, because that will help my children to go to fantastic sports and have nice vacation and this and that. However, I do not lose in mind that helping people is the reason why I am in this business.
And you all have a big why that motivates you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we quickly tell us what that would be? Craig, for you?
Yeah, my big why is to build a business that positively influences the lives of others. It doesn't have to be specific to real estate. Like I do want to expand into a separate business later on, but it's always to get the best I can be at my skills and reach my full potential, because everybody has incredible potential. And it really came down to learning about the most successful people in the world. They did not have everything given to them. They worked from the ground up, and everybody has the opportunity to build whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And that's my big why, to become the best I can be so I can help as many people as possible.
Lovely. How about you, Bernadette?
So it's going to sound crazy, I guess not as sweet as everyone else's answer, but I want to make money. Like, I want to make a lot of money. And it's, you know what, we still drive the same cars we drove like the first year we got into the business, but I love spending money on my family. I love the idea of not having to think about money. So I never want to have to think about what the bank balance is. So whether it's giving to my brother, my parents, I'd love to like pay out my parents' house at some point down the line. And then other than that, which I didn't learn until later in the business, is there's this part of me, like the confidence that comes from this job and like the love that you get from your clients when you're authentic and genuine is something I live for now, for sure. So both of those reasons.
Awesome. How about you, Michelle?
So my heart's racing, and I'm going to tell you guys my why. I don't think I've told anyone in this room, and my boyfriend knows, so of course. And I'm going to tell you this because for those who are in my shoes, I hope this resonates with you and gives you fire up your ass. So my why, I almost took my life second last year of university. I thought I was done. Despite all the success in university, no one would have known. I thought it was done. So thankfully, Source, God, whatever you want to call him, took me to the other side of the world, essentially. I traveled, I gained clarity, as I told you guys, and I was almost reborn I would say, and I realize the importance of time. So my why is why not? Whenever I come into a challenging situation, such as not wanting to call a client, it takes me right back to the moment that I remembered that I thought I was done, and I'm so grateful for the next day and everything that's in front of me. So, message, I don't want you guys to feel bad for me because I'm so blessed for this opportunity. I want you to not have to hit rock bottom like I did in order to learn and get to the next level.
Thanks, Michelle. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
You mentioned a lot of your business is done online through social media, whereas everybody else prefers more traditional
Yes.
way of working. Have you done any of the traditional methods of working, and what do you find, or what is the best? Like everything's going to that digital transformation. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, and that's something we're noticing too. We definitely want to diversify outside of internet lead generation because everybody else in the real estate space is starting to go that way. So we're expanding into social media. I think we're going to do a farm maybe next year. And we have done door knocking previously. What we like about internet leads is the ones that we get are saying that this is something that they want to do. They may not necessarily know what they want to buy or if they want to sell, but they do have a motivation, and it's a little bit easier and I think more efficient for us to call them and to nurture them over the phone. And we do spice up our lead generation with door knocking. If I can't reach a person online, over the phone, I can find their address and I will door knock them. So I try to do one a day with just going to a random person's house and dropping off a card saying I'm the person that was trying to reach you, and going that way. We are hoping to diversify because it is becoming really, really saturated online.
This.
Yeah.
How much more patience do you think that you are utilizing your time versus traditional?
It depends. When we had our old CRM, we were doing 500 calls per week, and we're striving for 100 contacts out of that, or more. No, it was about 200 contacts out of 500 dials, and we just found it was an efficient way to operate. We also have virtual assistants who just do cold calling. They're ISAs inside, or I guess it'd be OSAs, outside sales agents who prospect all of our listings for open houses, for just sold, just listed, and find motivated sellers and buyers through those means. And they use Mojo for that, and then they're scripted to find motivated leads for us to nurture. And then because we have this infrastructure from our team with all these different sources of leads, we have so many leads that we don't have time to do anything else really. It's just cold calling them through the phone and nurturing that way to get the best value that we're finding right now.
All right, we're going to take one more question. Gary, go ahead.
So for Craig, I heard you mention the sync platform. Are you guys still on it?
No, we're not. They adjusted their dialer in a negative way that we didn't really appreciate, and we thought we'd go back to Follow Up Boss. My team was using Follow Up Boss about 2 years ago, and they switched to Commissions Incorporated.
So how are you finding the training with the new platform and conversion?
I got it right away. I'm finding that I still have to teach other agents on our team the new system because they're very different. I think it's a simpler system though. If I was to start over again, I'd just go straight to Follow Up Boss.
All right, we had 2 very intense hours. I want to ask you now, how was this for you? What was it like? Kind of cool, right? Sure. Hey, I've been waiting for you to come back in. Yeah, was it great? Okay, thank you. You're welcome to come back in now. I want to thank all of you for devoting your time to learning and improving and spending a couple of hours with us. And of course, we want to thank Michelle and Bernadette and Craig and Gemma for sharing so openly and candidly. And we really appreciate it. We have a little something for each of you. I'm gonna bring Vanna Whites in, the plurals, and they're gonna drop those off. Vanna, please distribute those accordingly. And what I'm gonna say, everyone, is look, you know what? You're welcome to stick around a little bit. I'm sure you're gonna have questions, interact, exchange business cards. I was watching. See, I wanted to block you, Sue. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all very much. I think a round of applause for everyone's due. Thank you so much.